Welcome to Allegedly a Podcast. I'm Lucas.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Noah.
And as we said, Caleb, we are joined today by our friend Caleb. He is a BG alum, just like us, podcaster, just like us, and avid football fan. So today I felt like end of season, me and Noah are going to break down our predictions, and Caleb can possibly grade us, and then we're going to talk some other stuff today. I'm super excited. Playoff football. Let's start with our predictions. Let's go. We'll run it down here. NFC North. I predicted the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Lions too to win,
and that happened. Lions won the North. AFC North. I picked Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I feel like, has been the up and up team.
That's not a bad pick if you discount injuries. They're always going to be they're going to be competitive.
Oh yeah. I went with the Ravens.
Yeah, and with that,
Bengals second.
Yeah, and Baltimore. So Baltimore ended up winning the North, and I just had my trailer hitched to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got hurt. Jake Browning came in, and he just couldn't be the same. So it happens. NFC South. I picked the Saints and Derek Carr to win that division. Who'd you have in that? Did you also?
Did you say AFC or NFC?
NFC South.
Okay. Yeah. I went with the Saints.
Saints. I really believed in Derek Carr. I think that team, maybe not this year, next year. Tampa Bay ended up worst division in football was the NFC South.
They still won a game though. I didn't think anybody that won that division was going to come away with a playoff game at all.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. That was a very even though it's the worst division because a number one they had Carolina was in that division. They had, and then Tampa Bay and New Orleans were just I don't know, they were just hit or miss. Too. They couldn't find their groove. And who am I forgetting in this division? Atlanta. Yeah. And Atlanta was also just
they didn't have a quarterback to save
their lives, they tried. They had Heineke, they had Ritter, they just couldn't figure it out. But Tampa ended up getting that AFC South.
Hold on.
Sorry.
I had the Panthers finishing second.
You had the Panthers finishing
second. The Falcons finishing third, and the Buccaneers finishing last.
Dude.
I respect you owning up to it. I respect you stopping it to own up to it.
He's like, I picked Carolina. They finished. Yeah.
My preseason take for the Buccaneers was that they could be like the last year's Seahawks. It was like a veteran quarterback and a young guy battling it out. Yeah. Two solid receivers, and nobody had any expectations.
Pretty accurate.
Make the playoffs. It ended up working out. I didn't put that in writing though. I was in my head. Yeah. I didn't say it anywhere, so I don't have any proof.
No, I feel that.
Same record and
same
quarterback situation.
Okay. I was gonna say AFC South. Your division. I picked Jacksonville. I did pick Jacksonville to win the South. It was they were young. They have Doug Peterson. They had Trevor Lawrence. That was the team, but
shout out to Houston though.
Yeah. CJ Stroud.
Finishing third.
I had him finishing last.
Yeah, CJ that I feel, but that's the thing. The MO with a Ohio State quarterback coming out and just because it's you see what happened. Dwayne Haskins just number one RIP. Yeah. But second, him and Justin Fields came out and they just subpar. They're subpar. Yeah, they're not. But CJ Stroud basically checked all the boxes, did everything he could, and good for him. Good for the Texans.
It's tough as a Buckeyes fan and a Jaguars fan.
Yeah,
watching CJ Stroud, it hurts, but it's satisfying.
Oh yeah,
I had the other night during the divisional games. I tweeted out something. I was mad, so I was tweeting out CJ Stroud's not better than Trevor Lawrence. He can't beat a winning team in the playoffs. And everyone that came at me on Twitter, they were all Buckeyes fans. I'm with you too, guys. I want to see him do good, just not
against Jacksonville. No, two times a year, I don't want him to see good.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. To the NFC East, pick the Eagles. And that could have been it, but they decided to fall apart second half of the season.
Well, you know what the problem is? They made Matt Patricia there.
I knew he was going to bring it up.
Why did they do that?
Literally, after they did that is when they started losing.
I don't know, Matt Patricia.
I think they might have lost.
Literally, dude. Nah, there's so many defensive-minded coaches everywhere.
Yeah.
And you pick the one guy who's like has proven he's not. It's just that was a bad decision.
Yeah. No, but
He was great
Yeah.
until he became a head coach.
Yeah, and
now
I
he's
think he just kept going downhill. He needs to go to like
might as
college
well
or
be
something.
he might as well be.
To Lions fans and
Jeez.
Eagles fans, he might as well
He
be.
might as well.
So, but yeah, Eagles fell short. They did make it through the wild card. But Dallas ended up the
I had Cowboys
America's team made it and won that division.
and the Giants third and Commanders fourth.
I think I
AFC.
had the Giants winning that division before the season started.
Jeez.
It's a hot take, but
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
very hot. AFC East. I picked Buffalo, and Buffalo pulled it out.
Me too,
They
actually.
beat out Miami.
yeah.
Sorry
I
to
had this division correct, top to bottom.
heck yeah. I was gonna say sorry for our resident Miami fan Brennan Mormon. Sorry, yeah, not your year.
is
Buffalo. Everyone loves Buffalo. Like, if you don't like Buffalo, I don't.
How do you not like Bills
Yeah,
Mafia?
how do you not like Bills Mafia? How do you not like Josh Allen? Like, it's crazy. NFC West. I had San Francisco winning, and look at that. Niners, who have continued to be good, won the West again.
I think that was the easy pick.
Yeah,
for
that was
sure.
a super easy. Not as easy as I guess AFC West. Yet again, Kansas City. I chose Kansas City, and Kansas City won it. I don't think there was ever a moment that anyone doubted that Kansas City wouldn't win it.
Those are two gimmies for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we'll head into the NFC wildcards. I chose the Giants, the Packers, and the Seahawks to make it. Packers made it. That's the one I got right out of the NFC.
That's a good one, dude. I can't remember exactly who mine were.
Okay. But just as a refresher of the teams who did make it, it was the Rams, the Eagles, and the Packers all made it wild card for NFC wild cards.
I definitely had the Seahawks making it.
I think I
had,
Yeah.
and I had the Cowboys making it as a wild
Yep,
card
yep.
because I had the Eagles winning the
I didn't put Dallas in my playoffs. I didn't believe that they were going to make playoffs for some reason, but I think that was a dumb move on my part.
It's so
Danny
easy to
Dimes.
doubt
It's because
them.
I believed in Danny Dimes.
That's what I did too.
That's why, because I have the Giants in there, but I didn't have the Cowboys because I believed in Danny Dimes. AFC wild cards. My choices were Chargers, Jets, and Steelers. I got the Steelers right.
Yeah, I picked the Chargers, Bengals, and who was it? It wasn't the.
Chargers,
It might have been the
Bengals.
Steelers. Was my
No,
last pick.
I don't think it was because I felt like our picks were opposite, like same division, just different teams. But I don't know. But refresher AFC wild cards were Cleveland,
Or
Miami.
maybe it was Dolphins.
It was Dolphins. Yeah, it probably was Cleveland, Miami, and Pittsburgh. My record of division winners and wild cards, I went 6-8 with my picks. I feel like that is.
Wait, did you have the Ravens in the wild card, like in your guess?
No, I don't know why I didn't.
you had the
But I
Ravens
think I
in the
didn't.
playoffs.
I did not think about my picks. I think I just went. I went with
That's
pure
crazy.
emotion. Well, here was the thing. At the beginning of the year, the Chargers, and we can explaining my picks again. I believe Joe Burrow and the Bengals. If they
That's
can,
fair,
if they can
yeah.
all get healthy, they'll be good. For my like I said, I thought the Giants would be better than the Cowboys. I was wrong.
I guess if you were really high on the Chargers, that makes sense.
But like the Chargers, I really like Justin Herbert. I think, and now that they have Jim Harbaugh, I also want to clarify we are filming this on January 26th. So any news that comes out after this, obviously, we don't know.
2 days.
Yeah,
2 days to go.
but
I'm sure that'll come up.
I just now that the Chargers have Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert is a great quarterback. A lot of people are saying it's the best quarterback that Jim Harbaugh has like inherited, or at least this might be the best quarterback he'll coach. The Jets at the beginning of the season, they had Aaron Rodgers, and again,
Yeah,
being
that's also
a
just
Packer
tough.
fan, like he went down after four plays. Like who would have thought? Who would have thought? I wanted to see him make the playoffs just due to the fact that Aaron Rodgers was probably going to be playing most of those snaps, and his trade would have became a first pick for Green Bay. But 4 plays, done. It's unfortunate. But 6-8 in picks. Well, practice. Hopefully, this is my practice for next year. I'll be a lot smarter and
Next
obviously
year
see.
going 500 at least.
But I gotta get I gotta improve. I gotta get above 500. Noah's got to write down his picks for next time.
Yep. I got lost. I had them.
We'll get you a notebook.
We get your notebook and save it. Make sure we remember. So our picks kind of hit or miss. Obviously, a lot of things happen in the season, injuries and everything like that. Let's go. Let's talk about the biggest surprise from this season. Here, I'll do this. This can be a two-parter. What's the biggest surprise from your team, and then just overall NFL? Like, was there a team that surprised you? A player that surprised you? Well, let's start with teams. Let's go. I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but I'll let you say it and have your moment. Go for it.
Teams?
Texans. Yeah, your team. No.
Oh.
Your personal team, the Lions. You talk about the biggest surprise for you.
Well,
as a Lions fan,
I think the biggest surprise, I would say Sam Laporta. Probably the biggest surprise of the season. I mean,
like that.
We all had a good feeling he was going to be special, just from watching his college tape. And I know I did.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew it was going to be like how it ended up, though. I mean, he almost had 1,000 yards receiving. Was like 10 touchdowns, 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 100 receptions. So
yeah,
I think that was a huge surprise for us. I mean, Gibbs being good was. I mean, he's the 12th overall pick, so
yeah, he needed to be good. Oh, okay.
No, that coming from Laporta, huge surprise. No
gotcha. Kaleb, Jacksonville.
Honestly, probably the collapse at the end of the year.
The collapse.
I just as a team, the team's been bad for years, so I come not to expect too much.
Yeah.
But after last year, it kind of felt like I felt like we were like right in the same spot as the Lions. Like we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were like we won 4 games in 4 different cities in 2 weeks. 2 of those being in different cities in London.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, we're cooking. We were literally going into Thursday night football or Monday night football against the Bengals. We were the 1 seed, and then just missed the playoffs. And I was just like, I don't even know where to go from here. So that collapse just. As much as I want to say I expected it, but it was like, man, what are we doing here?
Yeah. For me, as a Packers fan, I'll just say it. It's it's Jordan Love, just the turnaround. I had hope going into this, and I told my mother's probably listening to this, and she can attest to it. I said going into this season, if we have a winning record, just know this is a season we can write off right now and just say, this is our new quarterback. We're figuring stuff out. And what happens? He ends up beating some really good teams in big moments, even with our terrible defense that gave up 30 points to Carolina. That's why Joe Barry is no longer Green Bay defensive coordinator. That's a lie. It's probably one of the reasons, probably not the main. But Jordan Love, just the improvement, like even the beginning of the season, that win against Chicago, that was pretty awesome. And I thought that's how the season was going to go. Obviously it didn't. We fell off. We went 2-4, and it just that's when we went 2-4, I sat there. I'm like, this is going to be the season. But he just turned it around. He did so well. We got to the playoffs. We won a playoff game with the youngest team since 1970, I think it was.
That's insane.
Like it was funny because once we won that game, we beat the Cowboys. They're like, they are playing with house money because we don't have any big players other than, I guess, Rashawn Gary, who we just re-signed this year. But like Jordan Love and Green Bay, they surprised me. And just making the playoffs, I was happy. Beating the Cowboys made me even happier. I knew going against San Francisco was going to be a lot. And for 3 quarters, we were winning that game. And then,
surprised me.
Yeah,
it was impressive. I honestly said that the like just in terms of that game, the worst team won. Like if you watched all the game and didn't see the score, you'd have thought the Packers were the 1 seed and not the 49ers. Like they looked good. It
was crazy. But Jordan Love, everyone's like, he's the future. I'm like, yes. I was going to say for now, he is our future. I trust him now. It's crazy. It's just crazy to think we're doing something. We possibly are going to do something that no team, and I've brought this up many a time, especially after Aaron Rodgers left. I'm like, no team has gone from Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. You've seen going from Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, Montana to Young, I was gonna say I feel like I can name more, at least one or two more. I can't think of it right now, but just you, and then Favre to Rodgers, and you're like after that if you get a guy who can play for a bit, I guess Breeze to Breeze to Rivers, you can maybe consider that. Like it's just one of those things. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and Jordan Love, as of right now, very good. And if he keeps progressing and we keep getting experience, it's going to be scary. Sorry, I went rambling there. Let's talk about surprising teams. No, I was going to say, I think you can.
I'll pick a different team.
No, you can go. You
said the Texans first. I'll pick a different team.
Okay.
Because I got one in mind. I want to say the Rams.
Okay.
I like that.
And honestly, you get the feeling that if they had played a different team in the playoffs, they probably would have won.
If they weren't in salary cap hell and actually had better players.
But to even get to the playoffs in the first place, especially
out of the West too.
But yeah, out of the West and after their terrible start to the season.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. And
yeah, that's fair.
They truly are a really good team.
That would
Yeah.
I was going to say, Puka Nacua is definitely one of the biggest guys.
Yeah.
That guy's awesome.
He should win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm with you right there, 100%.
I was going to say, it's funny you say that. He was like ranked second to win to Stroud.
I know Stroud's going to win, but he should win.
I feel like Stroud shouldn't because he missed a couple games.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that automatically, like, you know what I mean? But she's bumping down a little
But it's
bit.
always who makes it farther in the playoffs or who does better. But Caleb, who's your surprising team?
That's a good question. I think the Texans are up there, but I don't really want to say them. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say the Browns. Not because I didn't expect them to be in the playoffs, but because if you halfway through the season, given all the injuries they had, like I think statistically they were like the most injured team.
Oh, okay.
Like that's just ridiculous that they even made it to the playoffs. Joe Flacco's insanity run. Miles Garrett, I think he's the favorite for the defensive player of the year. So I'd say them just based off of the circumstances. Like I don't think anybody expected them. They were playing on house money too.
Yeah.
Because they were on their fourth starting quarterback. Like that, no other team's making it to the playoffs on that.
And they still finished 11-6.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
That's
like,
impressive.
They won most divisions. They would have won.
Yeah.
Outside of theirs, but so that's very impressive for that team. I think.
Jeez, I'm just trying to pick a team right now because it's hard for me. Like who was the most surprising? Because I could obviously say Green Bay because that to me it was the most surprising. But you know what? I'll just go. I'm gonna go other side of like the spectrum, like the Eagles. Like I'm more surprising how disappointing. Like they were doing so well, and broken record if you listen to ESPN because that's all they said too. It was like they did so well, and then just the end of the season came and they just. Down and then
what was it?
They changed coordinators. They changed coordinators, but like it's crazy. Like you do that one thing and then you lose. And even going into that playoff game, it was who did they play? Tampa. They played Tampa, and
Tampa just beat them.
And just it's crazy how they were so dominant. 10-1, and then you lose the last 5. I think it was like last 5 games of the season, and then you make it to you don't win your division, but you make it to the playoffs, and it just continues there. And it's just surprising because then everyone was, I feel like, piling on Nick Sirianni. Like I'm like, dude, it's more than him.
Well, I think like you said, the coordinators. Like if you watch their 10 wins, some of
them
are shaky.
Some team. Well, that's the thing. Like some teams did change coordinators, and it went like Buffalo. They got rid of Ken Dorsey, and look where they went. They did lose to Kansas City, but at the same time, like they turned it around because at the beginning of the season, everyone's like, well, Buffalo ain't getting they're playing like crap. So it's double-edged sword. Because that's the thing, like Green Bay was calling for their defensive coordinator to get fired. He got fired after the season. Who knows? But like it can go. I feel like if you stick with the coordinator you got, especially if you're a team with high, like your aspirations are high.
Yeah.
Like you want to stick with him. If your not aspiration, I want expectation. If your expectations are high and you're not achieving to those, you're going to get rid of a guy to try to get up there. When you're a team that has expectations of like mid to low, like you're going to just stick with the bad guy just because you're
give
like
him a chance to grow and
Yeah.
It's a lot more turnover for like the teams. I mean, because like the Eagles, they had look what like Shane Steichen with the Eagles this year. That was another impressive team. Like, so obviously it shows that like losing him hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what he was able to do with Gardner Minshew as the starter. And then they lost their defensive coordinator too. And like we said before, Matt Patricia is not the guy who I'm eager to run my defense. So
yeah,
I think it was just those two, and then a lot of guys just getting older.
The Eagles thought he was.
Yeah,
that is true. They don't anymore.
Not gonna lie, the collapse is hilarious to witness.
Jeez. So yeah, no. Those are biggest surprises. We'll go from here. As of right now in the NFL, a lot of there are some organizations that have looked real smart, whether they're doing good or doing better than expectation. Who do you think is the dumbest organization, or at least worst run right now? And I feel we're obviously probably all going to give different answers because we don't want to dogpile on each person. I just want to take the I'll go first on this if that's okay. I'm going to say for me, in hindsight, I think the dumbest organization, and it shows the Raiders. The Raiders right now, geez, man, it's crazy because I was a big fan of Derek Carr. Once they brought in Mike McDaniels, they shipped him off to New Orleans. I knew immediately that was the worst mistake you could ever do. They bring in Garoppolo. Obviously, he gets hurt. Then they're with O'Connell and you have Devontae Adams, you have Josh Jacobs, and then you have Max Crosby on the other side too. You have a pretty solid team, and yet you are. You're playing in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, but like, come on, man. Like, how do you have all this talent, yet you are playing to the subpar? You are the Raiders. This is a team that literally, it's
should
like,
be feared. Like to fear the Raiders.
What is it? What's they're saying? It's like pursuit of excellence, or what was it? I
think it's something like that.
Something like that. Just it's crazy that they've. It's not, and it's one of those things, and I'll ask the question at the end of this too. But it could be ownership, but it's like, I think it's a lack of patience, and I think a lot of organizations have that right now. I think the Raiders have the biggest lack, and right now they're the black hole. It's not only on their field, but that's where they're at right now. They are in a black hole. I don't see how you're moving forward because there's going to be a lot of guys like Devontae Adams, Max Crosby. They're going to want to get the heck out because they're like, this team, there's not much that they can do. It's right now they made the right choice in the coach they have now, but right now the decisions that they've made up until this point, dumb. Dumb. What would you say? Whoever's ready.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Are you ready?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I hope I don't steal yours. But I want to say the Patriots.
The Patriots?
We're good.
You really?
Yeah, I know it's a surprising one, but
I kind of like that answer.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, hear me out. As soon as Tom Brady left, I feel like, I mean, obviously in the moment, but in hindsight, looking back, I feel like they didn't really know how to handle themselves. Because it's really just gone all downhill from there.
Well,
You draft Mac Jones, and like, we all know how he turned out.
Because
he showed promise.
He did
at the start.
He did.
So what changed? I wonder.
It's very questionable. Well, when you have a quarterback and a coach for almost 20 years, it's something you're not really familiar with, because every time you drafted a quarterback, it's like, this guy's sitting behind Tom Brady. This guy's sitting behind Tom Brady. Like, I guess the Patriots, and again, Bill Belichick was basically the GM, the coach, and like Mac Jones wasn't it. But again, I think Bill Belichick is one of those coaches where it's like, I drafted this quarterback. This is our guy. We're going to try to develop him, and we're going to give him time. And again, not a lot of teams do that, because after like the second year where you're not winning games or you're losing games or he's not playing well, like it's one of those things where I feel like Bill Belichick's old school guy. He's not going to go out and he's like, well, this guy hasn't done anything in 2 years. Let's draft new high quarterback to replace him. But I will say that's a team that's like, I feel they pick out scrap players, and when I say scrap, I don't mean that by any demeaning at all, because a lot of those guys that they
You mean
get
guys no one else is looking at.
that, or like they're good, but they were like the third string receiver, third string tight end, but they were still good. But they get those guys and like they kind of piece it together, and just Mac Jones is or Billy Zappi or whoever they put in there, like they're not Tom Brady, and that's the thing. I feel like if they should have brought in a veteran quarterback to be behind Mac Jones or whatever. I think having young quarterbacks, they should have. You should usually have like a mentor quarterback or have some. Because I can always say the Green Bay process works. You draft a guy, he sits behind the starter for 3 years, and then you throw him in there, because at that point you've let him sit, you've let him see this really good guy play. It's either you take what he taught you or you didn't learn anything and now you're just a bust. And now we have to move on from you. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good pick. I think
it also I picked them too because it also kind of we'll see in the future how they do.
Yeah.
As an organization.
Yeah,
as a front office. They got a big job ahead. They already picked Gerard Mayo.
Yep.
To be the head coach.
Yep.
So we'll see how he does.
And
we'll see if the Patriots are.
The draft is going to be amazing to watch this year, just due to the fact with new coaches, with Harbaugh, with Mayo, with Pierce, all those guys getting those new positions. Now you kind of want to see if they're going to let them draft who they want. Because the biggest thing that I can actually I'll save that because I want to hear who you are going to pick for dumbest organization.
I'm not going to pick the Jaguars because I don't feel like rapping on my own team, but they're up there.
Yeah.
I just had it in my head too. I lost it.
Was it Carolina?
Yeah, it was Carolina.
Okay, good.
It was.
I can bring up my point.
Like, I don't even know what they're doing. Like, I'm not saying like trading for Bryce Young was the bad idea because they needed a quarterback, but like, I feel like getting rid of that first overall pick or first round pick and DJ Moore. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're getting rid of a first round pick, get rid of one 2 years from now because you have to be able to grow around your. I mean, they were throwing to Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo. He had nobody on the offense. Like I don't think Bryce Young got a fair chance this year because if you watch any of his games, he doesn't get to sit in the pocket. Yeah. And I mean, like, David Tepper, I don't know if you guys saw the video of Jags where he threw the drink at a fan. Yeah. It's poorly ran. They run through head coaches. And I don't know.
That's what I want to bring up is, and it's funny because Frank Reich wanted to draft C.J. Stroud. And this is one of the things that irritates me is when GMs and coaches can't be on. Because here's the thing. I'm not going to crap on Michigan fans, but I want to say this. Michigan never would have got Jim Harbaugh if he wouldn't have got run out by the GM in San Francisco. Jim Harbaugh should have been in San Francisco, should still be there, but instead he got run out after one bad season and went back to college, won Michigan Natty, now he's back in the NFL. To be fair, he never should have been kicked out. And that's where I kind of feel like Frank Reich lost that job because he didn't want Bryce Young. And that's what irritates me is when teams, whether it be GMs, whether it be ownership, and they go over the coach. Like, the coach knows, like, he's like, I know my strategy. I know who I can coach. And that's one of the things that frustrates me. So I'm happy you said Carolina because, like, I think Frank Reich's a pretty good coach. You look what he did in Indianapolis. Like, I feel like he got run out of there because it was the same problem. The quarterback position wasn't what he wanted it but I don't know. But I like, Carolina definitely, again, one of those just dumb organizations right now.
It's like one of the organizations where, like, most organizations that are playing bad right now, you can see the vision.
Yeah.
Like, the Cardinals were bad this year, but you see the vision. They got a top pick. Yeah. Jonathan Gannon. Looked like the defense was running pretty well. Kyler Murray. Like, you can see the vision.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Unless they can trade up or get T. Higgins in the free agency. You know, I don't know where their next step is.
Yeah.
I think it's to be determined, but personally, I don't feel like trading up and getting rid of lots
you can't give up more assets.
I don't think it's worth it.
Unless you can get rid of, like, only thing I would say for them is that if they could still get a first or two for Brian Burns, I would give up defensive assets to protect Bryce Young because you can get an edge a couple years down the road. But if you don't protect and give him weapons, Bryce Young's gonna get tagged with the he sucks, he never had a chance, or he's gonna get hurt, and then it doesn't matter if you have a star edge, but your offense sucks. Does it really matter?
Yeah.
Like,
not really.
Here, I'll just ask this question: why is it important to have good ownership? I feel like we've kind of covered that, but I know asking you, I feel like that's a very good question for you. I know your guys' ownership's kind of been a little wishy-washy there too, but I know is it like how important is that? Like, do you think that equals success, good ownership, or is it more coaching on the coaching side? Just a question I want to throw out there.
I mean, sure, yeah, it's absolutely important what the owner does. I mean,
but
I think there's some owners out there who own a football team just because they're really rich and want to own a football team.
Yeah.
I think there's very few, well, maybe not very few, but less who actually care.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You could tell. You could tell the ones who really care.
Yeah.
I think it's like you said, they're mostly like they're business people. They're not football people. So all they care about is revenue. So like, I feel like the best owners are the ones who know football, but they're not like football guys. Because you don't want an owner who like Jerry Jones, who like is running the ship himself, but you also don't want an owner like, I'll say the Jags owner right now is a very laissez-faire owner. He doesn't like we had I think it was Dave Caldwell's his name. We had a GM for years that could not get a good draft. There's no reason he should have been there. But you have the guys who are too patient and like they just don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you're trying to say, or not, you made a great point. The best owners are the ones who understand both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
What you're trying to
say?
say?
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's for me, again, only publicly owned team in the NFL. But it's still run by a party of people, but it's just got to be like you want to. But also looking at other teams, you want an owner they're not too controlling. Like they don't, because obviously we can talk about the Browns and how their ownership has just how ran them into the ground for so long with quarterbacks, with coaches, we can talk about that forever. I think you just need an owner who's invested enough in this team, wants to succeed, and wants to succeed for the city that they play in. And then they have to have the right people around them and basically listen to the right people. But
well, you said it right there. I think the most important thing an owner can do is not, obviously you want your owner to spend more money, like because your team's going to get better. But the most important thing the owner can do is know how to build personnel. Because if you're an owner, all you have to do is if you can get a good GM, he can do the rest. A good GM can make a good coaching staff, and you know what I mean. All you have to do is get the right personnel. You don't have to know. You don't have to be able to read a cover 3 defense. You don't have to be able to call an audible. Yep. But if you can just get the right personnel, they do the job for you, and then you're making more money. It's not as simple as that, but it is as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Gotcha. No.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you got your questions with you?
Yeah, I've got 2.
Okay. Before we go to that, let's I want to do this before we get to those questions. Predictions. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who's doing it? Not to cut you up, just disclaimer again, January 26th, we are Sunday that we will have the championship games, so we're going to be behind, but we're going to try to throw our predictions out now. We'll start over with Noah. I was going to say who you got in the big game?
Give me the Lions versus the Ravens. I don't see a way the Ravens really lose unless they really do bad.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
But I don't see how they lose to the Chiefs. The Ravens just seem like
they're crazy.
They're no doubt one of the best teams in the league, and it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to beat them, put it that way.
Gotcha.
So, I got Lions versus Ravens. I just picked the Lions because they're my favorite team.
Gotcha.
I really do think they have a legitimate shot to win.
Gotcha.
I think the Ravens, out of all 4 teams left, the Ravens are the only team where I'm like, I just can't imagine them losing.
Losing, yeah.
Like, if the Lions or 49ers, either way, I'm like, makes sense. If the Chiefs beat the Ravens, I'd be like, seriously? I have the 49ers winning, but I think the Lions will cover. I think a +7 spread is kind of disrespectful. I see the Lions losing by
10 points. Hey,
Did it?
Hey, 10-point spread. 10-point spread for Green Bay, so.
It got moved back? Like,
Yeah,
7.5.
7.5.
I don't know. Now I'm definitely taking the 49ers. Vegas knows something I don't. But
They're probably just moving it because so many people are taking +7 that they're like, all right.
I do think the 49ers win it in a close one, and then I think the Ravens win it all, no matter what, whether it's 49ers or Lions.
That's fair.
Okay.
Well,
I do hope I hope the
Ravens
Lions win.
beat the Lions.
I hope it's Ravens Lions.
38-6 earlier.
So,
But yeah, me too.
It's all right, buddy.
I'm going to go a different direction a little bit. Because here's the thing. If Green Bay, the youngest team in the league, in the playoffs, can play the Niners close, I'm very certain the Lions can. I believe the Lions can win. Lions coming out of the NFC. On the other side, I'm going to pick Kansas City to somehow figure out Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, make it Kansas City and Detroit, and then Detroit bring home the Super Bowl for the city. That's a lot. That's
as an underdog is hard.
Huh?
Like going against Patrick Mahomes as an underdog is very hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm that high on the Ravens, but I do respect that too.
The Ravens are here's the thing. They had a first round bye. They played Houston. They demolished Houston. They're playing Kansas City. Kansas City is a team that is a much stronger team. I'm not going to tell you that Kansas City is going to destroy them. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be this should be an absolute dogfight. If the Ravens walk all over Kansas City, like, I don't think I'll be shocked, but at the same time, I expect this to be a very, like, just punch for punch game.
Yeah.
But I feel like Kansas City, take this how you want, gets the calls, and I think they can beat Baltimore. And like I said, if Green Bay can play San Francisco for almost 40 minutes and then give it up right at the end, Detroit can play the entire game. Detroit, I will tell you, has played close games. Both games they've won in the playoffs have been close, but they've won. That is the main thing. They have won. And so it's going to be a close game. I'm going to choose Lions, KC. Lions to bring home the Lombardi.
I think
Game 1 to the last game of the season.
that would be cool.
And here's the thing. I've had people tell me I'm not allowed to hop on the Lions bandwagon. I've been supporting the Lions since the beginning of the season.
Not me, dude. I've been on your side the whole time.
I just want to make it clear. I am a Green Bay fan, but I respect the hell of the Lions. It's great to see a team that my father loves very dearly. I called him after they won against Stafford, and I'm like, you're alive, and they won a playoff game. And he's like, yeah, I cried. And I'm like, yeah. So, I just outed my dad. He cried after the Lions won against the Rams. And then I even called him after the Tampa Bay game just to make sure he was doing okay, because I'm like, they've won 2 now, and you're still alive.
Shout out Papa Grohl.
Speaking of Luke's dad, you can catch him in a prior episode of
If you
Fatherly Advice.
Yeah, if you need some fatherly advice, hopefully he will be back on here sometime. Hopefully, I already got some plans for an episode he's going to be in. Right. But
I got one point I want to bring up about the Ravens.
Absolutely.
The reason I'm so confident in them is, like, if you look at other teams that were, like, supposed to be contenders, like the Dolphins, the Cowboys, when they played, like, the good teams,
they faltered.
Even if they even if they won, they didn't look like dominant. The Ravens, they ran through they ran through the Lions.
Yeah,
they ran through the 49ers, the Dolphins.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Even when the Jags were playing, they beat the Jags like by a couple scores. Like, the teams that were supposed to be good games, they didn't look like they were 6 steps ahead. And the game against Houston, if you watch, like, the first half was, like, pretty spot on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
But then, like, the second half, it looked like they were just feeling out from the bye week, and they just stomped on them. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City was able to win. The only thing that would really surprise me is if Kansas City whooped them. Like, if the Ravens beat them bad, I wouldn't be surprised. But if Kansas City whooped them, fair. I would be in awe. My jaw would be on the floor the whole game.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine Ravens getting blown out.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if they
just
lose, they
doesn't
lose in a
happen.
gross way.
Not this year.
Yeah, no,
Not this
the
year, at least.
Ravens. And I get what you're saying, but for me, also in my head, being a football fan, like at some point, for me, I always see it as that locomotive is coming, but it's gonna hit something at some point. That's either gonna slow it down or it's gonna hit a brick wall. It's gonna hit something. I don't know. Okay, Noah. I was gonna say you got.
Is it my turn?
Yep. Well, let's roll to the questions. Noah's burning
All right,
questions.
So it's 2 questions under like one subject.
Okay.
Yeah.
So relating to Jim Harbaugh,
Oh, okay.
because that is a big football topic on January 26th, which is the day we're recording. Okay. Do you think it was the right time for him to leave Michigan?
100%. I don't think there's ever going to be a better time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his whole career with the Michigan, everyone's like, oh, you can't beat Ohio State. Finally beats Ohio State. Oh, you can't make the playoffs, makes the playoffs. And then everyone's like, okay, well, you can't win a playoff game. And then he does it. And then, like, well, you're not going to win a championship. He does it.
Yeah.
Like, he has nothing left to prove. And like, it's only going to go down from there with the 12-team playoff. Like,
That's true, too.
He went out how a lot of people don't, on his horse into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that basically everything. He has done everything he could do in college. He has coached one of the greatest college quarterbacks, / draft prospects of all time. He's now won a national title. Like he's checked all those boxes. Like if you're a coach, that's what you want to do. And if he's already proven he's good in the NFL, and that was the thing. Like he didn't win a Super Bowl, but he went. And not a lot of coaches can say that. And again, he was very successful. Like as I said before, very successful in San Francisco. He should still be there, but circumstance happened. He definitely. If you win a natty, I feel like you want to see more. But like that was a core team he put together. That I feel like emotionally, like you win that big game with those guys, especially JJ McCarthy. Like you're like it's time.
Yeah.
All these guys are going to the draft. I'm gonna go to the NFL too. I'm gonna go back, and it was the right time, and he's going to the right team. It's pretty awesome.
More.
I think also him going to the NFL kind of helps him avoid some sanctions that he might have from NCAA.
Oh no!
Like, I think there's a lot of sanctions. Like if he stayed, they could obviously suspend him for games. I don't think they have any power if he leaves.
No.
That's like not why he should
not.
leave. But I mean, like
My favorite meme I think I saw it was the Grim Reaper knocking on the front door, and it was NCAA with violations, and there was a guy sneaking out the back of the house. Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL, and I'm like, well, it's fair. I was gonna say it. Not gonna say that they're the same person, but it's
Just
Pete Carroll. He's Pete Carrolling right now. He's just like, I want my natty. Peace. Going to the NFL.
So part 2 of that is, do you think he'll be able to do well with the Chargers?
that's a good question.
I think he's already got a good baseline to start with.
Oh yeah,
especially in Justin Herbert.
The biggest problem he faces, and it's not really even him. It's the Chargers, and they're in cap hell right now. They are in cap hell, and that's the big thing. Am I gonna say that they're gonna be dominant in that division? I've already said that is a very tough division. The Broncos are moving on from Russell Wilson, so I guess you could say that helps. The Broncos are kind of trying to find their footing. The Raiders are, like I talked before, they have their new coach. They don't have their quarterback. They'll have to figure that out. But right now, like they could easily either try to knock out KC, or at least they can ride in the passenger seat and get those wild cards. And Brandon Staley I don't know, man. He just didn't use what he had there. And if history shows us, Harbaugh can build winners. Harbaugh can do it. He pulled San Francisco out of their dark times. They're now, with Kyle Shanahan, thriving. I don't see why not. It's basically, once they get around fixing their cap situation, he's got Justin Herbert, he's got Austin Eckler, he's got some banged-up wide receivers. They draft well.
Got some good linemen too.
and or make some trades too. Like they got some good guys on defense. Like they
sides.
he can easily turn that around. I would give it at least 2 years. It's not going to be next year. They're going to probably look good, but the year after that, I think that'll be
a surprising team next year.
They could. We had a lot of surprising teams.
Depends on how the draft goes. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing about Harbaugh is that he's very knows his limits. I don't know if you guys know this, but after his when he got his last contract with Michigan, every year it came, even though if they were like 9-10-0, they get to Ohio State and they just couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah.
So he actually went to his brother and said, "Hey, I need your defense." Mm-hmm. And so his brother told him like, "Okay, I got two guys now who are kind of working. One of them was Mike McDonald, the current Ravens defensive coordinator, and one of them was Jesse Minter, the current defensive coordinator for Michigan." And so he said, "Okay, I'm gonna take Mike McDonald." Mike McDonald comes to beat Ohio State, make the playoffs, and then Mike McDonald after that year goes to become the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. And so he's like, "Okay, I'll take Jesse Minter." And ever since then, they've had a defense that is good. So I think it's awesome just because he's able to go out and get the guys. Like, he doesn't have to do it all himself. Yeah. A lot of these, like Bill Belichick, like we talked about earlier, is a legend, but he did a lot by himself.
Yeah.
And so I think Harbaugh's going to be the guy who's going to go out and get the right crew. And I think he's also a guy people are going to want to play for. Yeah. Like, I think the difference in, like, when Urban Meyer went to the NFL, he treated players like they were still in college. He treated grown men with families like they were freshmen in college. Yeah. Like we said, Harbaugh's been in the NFL. He knows how to handle it. And I just think whether it's instantly or like, over the next couple of years, I think he'll find success.
Yeah.
He won't flinch.
No, I don't think it'll phase him at all. Especially, I don't think Patrick Mahomes being there is going to phase him in this life. I think he's excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, he took the job knowing what he was getting into.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You got any more questions?
I got another one.
Okay.
So this one's actually directed specifically to Kaleb, our guest.
Okay.
And it's about the Jaguars.
Oh no.
Well, it's two questions, but so the first one is just in general, do you think anything can be done better to make the team better? Like, and it can be from any perspective, from ownership to players, personnel.
I think just up front, like when it comes to like Trevor Lawrence, he's got to work on a lot. I still love him. I still think he's the franchise guy, but there's just a lot of like turnovers that are bad, especially when it comes to like fumbles. He just fumbles the ball for no reason. Like, there's clips of him like just running and he just drops the ball. I'm like, dude, you're about to get paid $30 million a year. You gotta get it together.
Football,
but in terms of like as like a whole team, there's a lot. Like, the trenches are just weak. In that game against the Titans, there was a quarterback sneak where Trevor Lawrence is a big dude. All you really have to do is reach over, and the center got literally pancaked backwards into him. And I
didn't see that clip.
Yeah, it's bad. I'll have to send it to you after this because it's just literally you got Trevor Lawrence who can reach over the O-line. All you have to do is not get bullied. Yeah. And the dude just got pancaked backwards by it was a nobody.
And he got bullied.
Yeah, it was bad.
Just don't get bullied.
And then just accountability too. Like the GM had a presser the other day. And it was just, he didn't take any accountability for anything. People asked if he was worried for his job. Like, the GM is one of 32.
Yeah.
Like, you should always be worried about your job. Yeah. And dude said, "No, I don't live in regret. I don't worry about my job." I'm like, dude, your team is bad.
If you got a guy there that won't own up to mistakes or won't, like, here's the thing, even if you do regret some of the stuff, you don't have to say it. Like, your actions will show, and you don't have to acknowledge it, but, like, come on, man. Like, you can see, like, San Francisco. They drafted Trey Lance, traded him,
they realized it wasn't going to work and got rid of him. Like, that's...
Yeah, they basically, like, we'll get what we can for him. But, yeah, when you have a guy who's like, no regret. No, and you're like, but just say that, like, what it didn't happen for us. Like, what we thought was going to happen, it didn't happen. So, I don't know. So, a lot of those guys, again, like, business people, like, some of them don't have humility. There it is. And that I can see, that definitely bothers me.
If there was one move to make, I would say we should fire the GM. I mean, we have Evan Ingram, who had a great year. Travis Etienne, who's a great running back.
Yeah.
And our second and third round picks last year were a tight end and a running back, both of whom who barely saw the field this year.
Yeah.
When Trevor Lawrence got like 5 different injuries this year because of the O-line. So he used to be with the 49ers for a couple of years, and his records were like 5-12. Like, it's just, I don't know why we have a GM who historically has not ever built a good team.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
Yep.
That kind of leads me into my next question, or my last question.
Yep.
And that was, just, do you feel like there needs to be any changes in the team, just from, coaching, or front office, or even ownership? Potentially?
I think the ownership would be nice, just because I kind of said earlier how he's just he's too patient, in a league where like things are moving quick. I mean, like you saw the Texans, first year quarterback, first year head coach, division winners. Like you got to be quick for the turnaround. I mean, the Colts are right there. God only knows the Texans could be there next year. Like we could go from the best team in the division to the worst team. I think if I could make 2 moves, one of them I'd fire the GM, but if that wasn't an option, I would replace the center. I think the O-line struggled a lot, but when you collapse inside for the O-line, there's not a lot like the guards can do when you're trying to pick up something.
No doubt.
And then I would also fix the secondary. We don't have the cornerback room to compete with the Burrows of the league, the Lamars, the Rodgers will be back. We don't have the secondary to compete with those guys, and exactly. Yeah. And so those are my 2 biggest changes. I'd fix up the secondary, and that O-line just, man, it needs everything all at once.
That's the biggest thing I think a lot of teams do. They think, oh, let's bring in this quarterback. He'll fix our problems. Not when he doesn't have an O-line. That was my biggest thing when Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets. And I think a lot of people said it like, oh, you're going to the Jets. Look at all these people they got for him. Yeah. I don't see an offensive lineman on that list. I see skill players. Guess who has to block? Not skill players.
Yeah.
And look at that. 4 snaps in, gets hurt.
Build the trenches up.
That's a thing that I feel like not a lot of teams do, where I feel like they draft quarterback. They draft skill before they draft like protection. And that was the thing. If I'm running a team, I'm going to try to get the greatest. I'd rather have the greatest offensive line with a mid-tier quarterback than the greatest quarterback to ever come out. Jared Goff's not mid-tier. I rather
Lions build from the trenches first.
Yeah, build from the trenches. Exactly. And at that point, once they're good, if your quarterback's still not performing, when he has ample amount of time to throw the ball, that's when you got to move on. That's either where you can trade, you can draft. Not enough teams do it. A lot of teams like, this guy will solve our problems, and then he comes in, gets hurt, and they're like,
a lot of teams want a guy to play hero ball in.
It's build a really good offensive and defensive line first.
Yeah.
And then you would be surprised at how good your team does.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't have all these skill weapons yet.
Yep.
I think one more thing I would say is, I remember last year how the Jags like kind of just picked it up the second half.
Yeah.
I would argue that Trevor Lawrence is playing like a top 3 quarterback in those span. And I think that's the problem with drafting that franchise guy and just leaving it at that. Because I think Trevor Lawrence playing so well made it as a facade that the Jaguars were a lot better than they were. Mm-hmm. And so going into the offseason, like, okay, we were 9-8, we picked it up, we're coming back next year, we're going to be even better. Yeah. And so nothing really changed. Trevor got hurt like 6 different times, and then the team just
they're like MO, like not to crap on your team,
no,
but here's the thing, and I'll bring this. I swear I watched a YouTube video, but it was like the year, and I'll only remember this year because I drafted Jacksonville's defense. The year Jacksonville's defense was just absolutely the scariest thing to ever like they played. They were one of the best defenses. It was crazy. And then after that. Ramsey left after that year.
Well, we had a lot of guys leave because the management was bad, and that's when the ownership should have stepped in and said, "Hey, that's." But then Ramsey got in a fight with the coach and the GM, so we lost like 5 of our best defensive players because of that. And then they fired the guys who they wanted fired anyway. So it's like it's just been a dumpster fire. It's been thumbs down for the organization as a total. But they're my team. Love them or hate them, they're my team.
Yeah,
no doubt.
All right.
You get it. I know you get it. You don't get it.
Yeah. Our down year. We still went 9. We went. Yeah. We
got
one. We got one.
This was supposed to be your bad year.
Yeah. Last year was our bad year. That's the sad part because we were 1 game away from making it to the playoffs. Didn't make it. This year, same situation. Made it and won a playoff game. But you got any more questions there, buddy?
That was it. That's all I got.
I will say I am. In terms of the Lions, half of me loves watching them win. The other half, I want them to lose because I'm just jealous that you guys are what I wanted us to be. But my girlfriend's whole family is Lions and Michigan's fans, so I'm putting my hatred aside. Let's go Detroit.
I respect that.
I'm so jealous, though. I can't even lie. I'm so jealous.
It still doesn't feel real to me.
I
thought I would feel different, but I don't feel different.
Do you feel like you belong there, though?
Yeah.
That's how it should feel. I think that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel like this. Like in 2017 when the Jags made the AFC Championship,
I didn't
felt
feel
like
that way until they actually won, though.
Yeah. See, I never felt like the
Until
Jags
very
belong
recently.
there. I like that you guys have that culture, that it's like, yeah, this is where we should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my buddy Gabe. You know Gabe.
Gabe, yeah,
He
I know
works for the
Gabe.
Lions.
I know Gabe.
He works for the Lions,
Gabe.
and he said
Oh, really?
the culture was amazing, but the players all act like that's where they should have been all year.
Yeah,
Like it's like
and that's a
job's
good
not finished.
Yeah.
that. I won't lie to you. That's kind of how Green Bay felt. Like it's like that's how I felt as a fan. Like going in the playoffs, I'm like, and I kept saying this because I'm like, I'm waiting for us to lose. I'm like, we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah,
we're
and
not supposed. Lions we're supposed to be there. Green Bay for me in the playoffs, I was just like, we're not supposed to be here. So if we win a game, gravy. If we don't, little higher draft.
You guys
pick,
making
but-
the playoffs was already a win
yeah,
for your season.
yeah, basically, yeah. It just confirmed our season. So that it confirmed Jordan Love. It basically confirmed that the Cowboys just can't win in the playoffs. But
Cowboys are going to cowboy.
Cowboys. Are
Do we have time? Because I have one question for you.
Sure.
If we have time.
Yeah, go for
In
it.
terms of the Goff Stafford trade, do you call that a win-win? Do you think if you guys win the Super Bowl this year, is it a win-win? Do you guys win? How do you feel about the trade?
Oh,
And do you still love Stafford, or are you screw Stafford?
No, I think Stafford's great. And
yeah,
12 years in one place for anyone should be celebrated. You
Yeah.
know?
10 years, Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
I don't think
just gotta
Calvin
say
was
that.
like 8 years, I think. But
Either way, but still,
No.
9. I think it was 9.
sure,
I
whatever.
don't know.
9 seasons. You're right. Anyway, no, I think it's great. Personally, it's
I see a lot of people arguing back and forth. Like
Yeah.
if the Lions win a Super Bowl, they won the trade. I'm like, honestly,
It-
you both got what you
yeah.
wanted.
I think
You guys got the rebuild you needed. They got the ring they
if-
needed.
if
Yeah.
the Lions did win the Super Bowl, like you said in your hypothetical, I think it would be definitely the most win-win trade.
Yeah, because like nobody. I mean, like they're in
history.
They're in like cap disaster now, but like
Yeah.
they
Oh,
were
yeah.
they were one quarterback away. They got the quarterback and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys needed a lot, and so you got those picks. You got a quarterback who, like you said earlier, you build the team around it. Jared Goff's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
As long as he's not Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen like out there.
Here was my
Yeah.
thing, and again, I'm not a Lions fan, but I'll tell you, I know I definitely said this to Noah, or I said it to some Lions fans. I said this, when they traded for Goff, my first thought was the Lions should not draft a quarterback in any of the first rounds in the next 3 years. I'm like, until Jared Goff proves he is not good enough to win, you roll with that. He's proven he can win, obviously. He's got to get over the Super Bowl hump, but Goff is good enough. The Lions drafted a late round Hendon Hooker, but again, it's one of those things where if I just said it, if Goff ends up the Lions just have to be smart about their drafts. And what have they done? They have gone after who they wanted, even though people are like, that's a stupid pick, that's a stupid pick. It's all worked out in the end.
They don't
so
care.
yeah, they don't care.
They know who they're
Brad
picking.
Holmes,
Because his rookie class
And
was crazy, man.
Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell went after who they wanted. They did not care what other people thought. They were getting who they wanted, and they were going to win with those guys, and they've done
I
that.
don't think people are talking about it enough, but
Yeah,
you said it's one of the best rookie classes in
Yeah.
this draft, of all the teams, when it was literally graded as the worst draft.
And I was
out
going to say,
of all
I
the
graded it
teams.
as a bad. I thought running back and linebacker in the first round was like ridiculous.
Well, yeah.
and
Jack Campbell hasn't
Everyone
done
did.
much, but like he's not been like a liability. But
Yeah.
Gibbs, Laporta, Brian Branch, I wanted him so bad, dude. He's
yeah,
such a dog.
Yeah.
They proved everyone wrong. How good, dude.
yeah. It's crazy, but
Shout out
again,
Dan Campbell.
When I watched that Jahmyr Gibbs pick live, I was actually in the Mud Hens locker room.
For real.
I was watching it on the locker room TV because the game just ended and we were doing our stuff. And I can't remember who I wanted them to take because it doesn't matter to me anymore.
it does because
True.
But when Gibbs got picked, I remember looking at the guy next to me. It was one of the players,
Yeah.
and we both just we both just kind of like rolled our eyes at each other, like, what was that?
What was
Even
no,
me,
Yeah.
in the moment.
But
was
yeah,
rolling
but
my eyes.
everyone kind of thinks that.
What?
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Well,
Most people, if you look at that straight up, most people like
I
a
had
running
that
back and a
attitude for about
linebacker.
10 seconds
Yeah.
after the pick, and then I was like, all right,
We'll
let's
live
go.
with it. Yeah.
Let's go Gibbs.
At the end of the day, they're your guys. You gotta
Yeah.
rock with them, whether you don't like the pick or not. It's like they're on my team now. I'm not gonna cheer against them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's awesome. Caleb, appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having
If
me.
you don't, yeah. In how we normally end our show, we will choose a question from the question jar. We have people on our Facebook post questions. I add them to the jar. I also added some of mine, so you feel free to pick one out of there. If there's a name on it, read it off, give them a shout out. Is their name on the end of the
Alright.
question?
This is from my boy Jack Herrick.
Oh, Jack Herrick.
Good question. What kind of bear is best?
Yes. Oh boy, this is fun.
Do you guys want to take it away, or you want me to answer first?
If
You go
you
first,
got
dude.
if you got your answer, you can
Listen,
go.
I'm gonna rock with the panda bear.
Oh,
I'm not like, it's not the deadliest or anything, but
Yeah.
if you're ever having a bad day, just look up like cute panda videos. I promise you that day is 20 times better.
Yeah.
Like they're so adorable, and I'm pretty sure they're like actually like really aggressive. Like they're not nice animals, but
Yeah.
anytime I can watch a little baby panda roll down a slide, man, my day gets so much better. I'm gonna go with panda bear.
Pandas are so clumsy, dude.
They are. It's so cute though.
Yeah, you're right.
What about you,
That's a
Gro?
good
Who you
one.
think?
Oh, I got to go with this. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. One of my favorite, I think, one of the most metal, one of the most hardcore bears. Polar bears.
thought you were
Polar
gonna say
bears,
sun bear.
because they are straight up just meat eaters. They will take down. They're number one. They're freaking gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
They live in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, and I watched a lot of Joe Rogan kind of videos, him talking about like bears, and he talks about polar bears, how like we've portrayed them as like these cute cuddly bears, like in
they're
Coca-Cola commercials, and he's like, he brought up a video and it was like a photographer in like a bear-proof like
I've seen
bubble,
that, yeah.
and these polar bears just come up and they're just trying to get in this thing.
They smell the meat
because
and they just want
because they're like, they don't know when their next meal's coming, and plus with climate change and everything like that, like their habitats losing. Like I think there was a thing where they talked about like there have been towns in Russia, they've abandoned towns because polar bears have moved in.
Seriously?
And like people can't go outside. Like
That's crazy.
like polar bears, they are crazy. Number one, they're big, they're meat eaters, they are just absolute just wrecking machines. I'd have to go with polar bear.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's a good one, dude. I gotta go with the common black bear, dude.
Common black bear.
Respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're just everywhere, man. They're in Michigan. They're in California. They're out.
Yeah. They're just
But I don't know. You ever see videos of black bears and like black bear cubs just
chilling.
just like chilling or
Yeah.
playing
Yeah,
with random
They're just
stuff.
vibing. They really are always
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
vibing.
no, they're just chilling, and like I think they're one of the most like timid bear
Yeah.
species
They're-
out there too. So like,
Yeah. They're very funny.
they're very easy to scare off if you ever get into it.
Yeah.
Funny
Don't
enough.
mess with their cubs.
Yeah. Funny you say that. One of my favorite videos, I forget, it was like a black bear playing with, it was like a rope or something, and he swings it and hits himself in the nuts, and it's like a pause, and then he falls
yeah.
over, and it's like,
remember
you're like, what the
pain was just
hell?
loading.
Yeah, he was just like, wait a minute, poof, down.
It's also the only bear I've seen in the wild.
That's fair.
Well, isn't the rule like if it's, and this is like very, if in terms of bears, if it's black, like fight back because like you can intimidate
Yeah.
them. If
Yeah.
it's brown, get down.
Yeah.
And if it's white, good night or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right
I don't
on
know
that.
how
Yeah,
true that is, but
I don't.
like,
Yeah,
you're right. They're like, if I saw
Probably
a
pretty
black,
true.
yeah, if you see a black bear, as long as you're not messing with its cubs,
Yeah.
there's a good
Just
chance you're gonna get
just
home.
make yourself look big. Just
Get
make yourself look
big
big.
and loud.
Yeah.
And they'll
If
run
I-
away.
There are reasons I won't go to certain places because I'm like, I know there's wildlife that'll kill me,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna avoid going there, or at least I'm not gonna go out somewhere where I'm like, oh, there's things out here that can kill me that are bigger than me. I'm not gonna go there.
Tips for listeners: don't go places that you know you'll die. It's good advice.
Good advice. Good advice.
That's a good one.
But well, Caleb, thank you very much.
Of course.
Before you go, let us know about your podcast. I know Infamous Takes. You can describe it for everyone here. Before
Yeah,
we
I
get
have
off.
me and some other buddies have a podcast. It's Infamous Takes, a sports podcast. We're on Spotify and YouTube. It's just we meet once, twice a week, just discussing mostly NFL. We're going to transition a little bit into NBA once the NFL season stops, as well as going over like college draft prospects and just kind of going for off-season NFL stuff. So yeah, go give us a listen. I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's been
No problem,
a lot of
man.
fun. I would next time you guys want me back, I will come back anytime.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Absolutely.
you're on the list now. You're on the list.
I can BS about just about anything except for hockey.
Yeah, no,
That's where
well,
you
no,
lose me.
that's why we had Jack.
Yeah.
We had Jack Abel on here just before you because he's our resident hockey guy, and
I'll come in here and talk Bears for an hour. I'll talk about anything you guys want.
don't worry, man. We will definitely bring you back. Again, appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come here and talk to us. So,
No problem.
We're also looking to branch out off of sports
Sports.
topics in general.
But we love sports.
Whatever you want to talk about,
Yeah.
man.
Okay.
Really anything.
There's not a lot I wouldn't talk about. I'll talk black holes for an hour. I don't know anything about them, but I'll talk them.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if you've lasted this long, thank you for listening. Make sure if you haven't, follow us on Facebook, X, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, you can find these videos obviously on YouTube, but also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Well, see you on the next one.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Sweet.